Hey there, it's another beautiful day. Let's watch some stuff.
If you're like me and you care about carbon pollution, global warming, and clean energy, then this video is for you. There is now 100% clear solar panels that can be made into windows for homes and businesses. Transparent solar could really be awesome. So what is it? Transparent solar is cutting-edge technology that gathers light energy through windows or any glass surface at any angle. It then transforms that light into energy. And the glass that we see everywhere these days, from our car windows to building windows, equals a lot of electricity generating potential. This solar window tech is already being used right now. For example, the Copenhagen International School's design uses 12,000 hued but clear solar panels all over the building, producing more than half the energy the building consumes. These high-tech windows could bring us one step closer to a clean energy future, one that's no longer reliant on fossil fuels.
Now, you know I'm a bit of a skeptic on certain things, and this is definitely one of them. So I did a little bit of digging, and this is what I found.
Transparent solar panels were great news in 2014, but are they available now? Actually, yes, but there is more. In 2021, Michigan State University installed the first one. Now they are available to purchase from a few manufacturers and can be an excellent addition to buildings with few areas for photovoltaic panels, mobile electronic devices, and electric vehicles. However, this new technology is far from being cost effective. The cost of manufacturing fully transparent solar panels is high, around $400 per square meter. Semi-transparent panels are more competitive at around $80 for the same area. Efficiency is still low, with 1% efficiency for fully transparent panels and up to 12% for partially transparent panels. In how many years do you think it can become a real alternative?
So far, these clear panels are not cost effective, and they're not as productive as the regular solar panels that we see. So it's still quite a ways off, but I mean, that's a good thing. I'm all for using solar. I don't think that we should drop all of our fossil fuels and move on to solar, but one day, you know, windows will be solar panels, which is good. Yesterday, somebody on TikTok commented on one of my posts that I should look into Helios. Now, I'm not sure if it's Helios or Helios. I don't know who or what it is. I didn't even bother to ask. I'm like, I'm on it. And I jumped on TikTok, popped that bad boy in, and got a few different results, and we're going to take a look at them.
The Helios, humanity's first ship capable of interstellar travel, disappeared without a trace after testing its prototype jump drive. 27 years later, it suddenly reappeared in orbit a few light years away from where it launched. A recovery team was sent to investigate. When we boarded, the ship was cold and silent. The corridors were caked with frost, and the walls seemed wrong, like they were pulsing. We split into pairs to search for the crew. In the command room, we found the captain's log. His last entry was incoherent, a mix of screaming and whispers. The jump drive had activated unexpectedly, throwing the ship into a void outside of time and space. A place far, far beyond our solar system. Then we heard it. A sound like scraping metal, but alive. My partner shined his light down the corridor and we saw them. Twisted figures of what used to be the crew, their eyes black, their movements erratic. "We have to leave," I yelled. But when we turned back to the airlock, it was gone. The corridors had shifted, trapping us. A sound erupted, resonating through the entire ship. "The jump drive is powering on," I screamed. Voices began to enter my head. "We have to take you back and show you." The Helios went dark, and for a brief moment there was silence. That is, until the ship disappeared into the blackness of space.
Before selecting that clip, I literally watched the first 5 seconds, and you know my brain. I was like, alien? Spaceship? Yeah, I'm down. And it feels like somebody was reading a script or an excerpt of a Star Trek book. I'm not sure. I've never read any of the Star Trek books, but I know that there is a Helios class of ships in the Star Trek universe. So maybe that was kind of hijacked from some Star Trek stuff. I don't know.
I saw my buddy Mike Guyver with this coin in his background on a live. Look, it's a flat earth. A San Marino coin from 1999 with a flat earth on it. But look at the creepy front of the coin. It's a caged mind with the globe in it, hands holding fire, and the celestial bodies all around. And don't tell me that's not a caged mind. It literally says crowned shield, flat earth as once envisioned, and a crowned shield. And what's with the hands holding fire? Have you guys ever seen heliosorcery? This kind of reminds me of those vibes. This person has the caged mind and the fire in the hands and all these planets. Now that's more like it. It'd be cool to get my hands on one of these. And what are these? Are these like blast holes in the firmament? And why do they look like moon craters? You gotta admit it's funny that the craters on the moon are all at the right angle as if those meteors came from Earth.
That's an interesting coin. It was the lira, which was Italy's money until it was replaced with the euro in 2002. That's a pretty neat coin. It does show a flat earth because it was to depict old times where people actually thought that the world was flat. No, I don't think the earth is flat, and I know that some people do, and that is just fine. And I don't think that that is saying, hey, the world is flat, 'cause it's not an ancient coin. It's from 1999 and you can buy it for like $4. The reason this one is looped in with our Helios is because Helios is like a sun god or something, and he was holding fire god. Helios was a god of some kind and he was holding fire, and that coin is what was interpreted in this particular clip. So obviously that prompted me to look into Helios, the god.
In ancient Greek mythology, Helios rode his golden chariot across the sky, bringing light to the world. But did you know he's more than just a sun god from legend? Helios' chariot is actually a high-tech interstellar gate, connecting wormholes throughout the universe. Each time a solar flare erupts, the interstellar gate opens, linking us to distant galaxies. One day, aliens from the Orion Star Union crossed the wormhole. These liquid-skinned beings could absorb solar energy. They brought with them a powerful technology called photon crystals, allowing them to navigate the universe freely. The aliens warned that overusing the interstellar gate could destabilize the sun. Helios' mission is to protect this cosmic gateway. Now, Helios still watches over the sun's interstellar gate, guarding Earth and the unknown civilizations of the cosmos.
That's what I'm talking about. That is a fantastic story from Greek mythology. Oh, they always have the best stories, and you gotta think that they gotta be coming from somewhere, right? But aliens? Yeah, aliens. I had another clip that involved Helios, and it really didn't fit the channel, really, but it was super interesting. It was like 6 minutes long, and it was about some airplane that had some issues, and a lot of people passed away. If you want to see that clip, let me know. I'll put it in Friday's episode. Since I got you here, if you wouldn't mind, hit that like button for me. And if you haven't already, won't you consider subscribing? And then come on back, because I'm making a new episode every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Doge and OMB also found that there was about to be 50 million taxpayer dollars that went out the door to fund condoms in Gaza. That is a preposterous waste of taxpayer money. So that's what this pause is focused on, being good stewards of tax dollars.
So the new press secretary of the Trump administration had a press conference yesterday, and I think that was an absolutely interesting little bit of information. That's where our money's going. That's insane. Well, it's where it was going, and now it is not.
You are looking at one of the strangest patents in the entire U.S. patent system. Patent number 2006-001425A1, Walking Through Walls Training System. This patent refers to a unique process, a training system that enables a human being to acquire sufficient hyperspace energy in order to pull the body out of a dimension so that it may pass through solid objects. This is very real and was used by the U.S. Army at one point.
That exists. It actually exists. I Googled it, and it's a real thing. It's a real training for people to pass through walls, which is incredible. It was patented in 2004. Not quite in the men who stare at goats era, but it's definitely a thing. I don't know when the military could have used it more recently, but okay.
So check out this video where a man attaches a copper wire and flies the drone up to about 115 meters and shows off the ether in action.
All right, I'm gonna stop at 115 and hold steady. All right, it didn't blow up yet. Oh, by the way, meet the aerial film crew. I just thought this was a cool shot. Oh yeah, I'm getting shocked right now. This time I just used the electroscope as a quick voltage check. Woo! Now that's a few thousand volts right there. All right, let's see if there's enough current to make this Franklin bell work. Oh, dude! Freaking working, buddy! Yeah! It's a really cool process. The aerial wire places a positive charge on this can, which then influences the foil ball to deliver electrons from the grounded can, which is directly connected to Earth. The clouds finally opened up, so I connected up the corona motor. Like before, one side was connected to ground, while the other was attached to the aerial wire. And after just a few seconds, hey, she's spinning! This is just remarkable. It never really spun that fast, but I just sat and enjoyed the miracle. I mean, I quite literally was siphoning energy straight from the atmosphere. This motor was operating off of several kilovolts, which you could actually hear if you stopped the motor and brought your finger near the aerial wire. That's the sound of coronal discharge. Not long after, the wind started picking up, so we packed up.
So this guy is very clearly doing something that I'm sure a lot of big corporations do not want him to do, and that's showing everybody that electricity is all around us at all times. We just have to know how to harness it. And we all know what happened to Tesla, right? So we need to find out who this guy is and protect him because that's a little bit concerning. There's a lot of people probably watching him. Hope he's okay.
I do have news directly from the President of the United States that was just shared with me in the Oval Office from President Trump directly, an update on the New Jersey drones. After research and study, the drones that were flying over New Jersey in large numbers were authorized to be flown by the FAA for research and various other reasons. Many of these drones were also hobbyists, recreational, and private individuals that enjoy flying drones. In time, it got worse due to curiosity. This was not the enemy.
So what it would appear is basically what my husband's been saying the entire time is somebody flew a drone that was allowed to be flown, like the FAA allowed for research, right? And then somebody made a big deal out of it, and all these other hobbyists were like, put the drones up, put the drones up. But that was a lot of fun talking about those drones for a while. And part of me still feels like there might be something else going on for the simple fact that why the hell couldn't the previous administration just say that? I know it got blown way out of proportion and everyone's like, oh, the drones, which was fun. I joined in because it was fun. And why couldn't they say that? And if that was the case, why did the military have to get money from that stopgap bill that I love bringing up to spy on us if they knew what the hell was going on?
The world isn't exactly as you perceive it. Here's a stunning fact you might not know. There is actually no such color as purple in the world. Some people might argue, but I can clearly see purple and everyone around me can too. How can purple not exist? Sorry, but purple really doesn't exist. What we perceive as purple is just a color our brains conjure up. The formal name for purple is magenta. In fact, human eyes can only perceive 3 wavelengths of light: red, green, and blue. However, we perceive 3 additional colors: yellow, cyan, and magenta. When we see yellow, it's actually just the red and green cone cells stimulated by light wavelengths that lie between red and green, sending signals to the brain, which then interprets them as yellow. Similarly, when we see cyan, it's the green and blue cone cells sending signals together, and the brain tells us that we're seeing cyan. However, magenta is different. When the red and blue cone cells simultaneously signals to the brain indicating they've detected some color, the brain reacts immediately. If the green cone cells, which lie between red and blue, also send a signal, then you're seeing green. But if the green cone cells do not send a signal, the brain knows you're not seeing green, so it creates a color out of thin air, magenta. Therefore, we really don't know what the magenta you're seeing is. It could be color A, B, C, or X. As long as it's not red, yellow, green, cyan, or blue, your brain will tell you that you're seeing magenta. Now, do you still believe that the world you perceive with your eyes is the real world?
Well, that's pretty fascinating. Another interesting thing that we've learned since I started this channel is that colors very well may not exist at all. It's just how our brains interpret the waves of them. And we only have a very small visible spectrum of light, so who knows what else is going on around us, like interdimensional light beings. It's been a minute since I talked about that.
It's going to do when our ocean level rises. For the first time on Earth, we're changing the gas.
Now you're full of sit down. I'm going to answer you. I'm going to shut up and sit down. If the water on the planet is going to rise up 10 feet, that means the southern part of the United States is gone. England is gone. Most of Europe is gone. And I can go, most of Central America is gone. The financial institutions, the banks of this world know it's not going to happen. If global warming is for real, they won't put it that way, global warming happens, this investment you made is all. Not one single investment prospectus written since 2000, this century, has alluded to global warming. Otherwise, you couldn't get a goddamn loan in London. You know those 30, 40-year mortgages? The world will be over by then. Is Barclays Bank going to give you a mother loan? With the greatest respect, ma'am, it's the greatest fraud that's been perpetrated on mankind this century.
Thank you so much, Terry, for another fantastic clip. Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. If there was going to be global warming and all the ice caps were going to melt, the oceans were going to rise, why would there be these financial institutions giving out these loans? That is some serious brain food right there. Now,
what does the Gateway program really do for an individual? It varies so much that each seem to find their own answers. Not at all unusual are life-changing peak experiences or moments of revelation never before encountered and which neither cannot nor need be repeated. The program itself teaches the Focus 10 state, mind awake, body asleep. Participants also learn to move into what is called Focus 12, where all physical data input is shut off and the consciousness can reach out and begin to perceive in ways other than through the five senses. Participants also enter the Focus 15 state, a state of no time, where consciousness is now far removed from physical body signals. Linear time is no longer relevant to experience, sometimes referred to as the void or pure potential. The final gateway focus, as it were, is an exploration of Focus 21, a state on the very edge of perception of the time-space continuum, where your mind remains fully conscious and active. It is the bridge to other realities. Now, the action really begins here, where perspectives and overviews change drastically. It is here where the participant truly understands that they are more than their physical body. The Gateway program thus has evolved into a unique process of self-exploration and discovery. It first surmounts the fear barrier of the unknown, which seems to be the greatest cultural restraint on individual growth. Think of where you are now as a clearing in a dark forest. We call it C1 consciousness. We then take you into the forest to a point where you can still see the familiar clearing. That point is a guidepost, Focus 10. After a sufficient number of runs between guidepost and clearing, the fear disappears. At the Focus 10 guidepost, you always know you can get back to the clearing if you get uncomfortable for any reason. With the tools provided, the participant is then free to do as they wish. They accept the authority to do so and the responsibility.
that clip isn't what I thought it was from the first 5 seconds, because I like to not watch the entire things until I'm sitting down with you so that I can react as authentically as possible. But it made me feel like I wanted to do it. Like I want to try and do the whole calming thing and just project my brain out, if you will, or my consciousness out and feel, I guess it would be relief, because there's so much stress on your everyday life, and to be able to just hone it all in and let go That would be magnificent.
I really should have just let it be. I got to the elevator and rode it up to the 7th floor. I emerged onto the mostly empty office area. In case you were wondering, the building I work in is huge. But I'd worked there long enough to know my way around it, so I knew the area surrounding the printer relatively well. I made my way through the hallways and eventually spotted the printer with my freshly printed papers minting it. I gave myself a mental pat on the back for continuing my lifelong streak of following the rules. As I went to grab the papers, I noticed some light buzz in a meeting room nearby. I looked through the window to see roughly 10 people hanging out around a snack table. In the room was a large old-looking TV on a cart, and rows of some of the fanciest folding chairs I'd ever seen, organized in a neat fashion. I didn't think much of it, and started walking off, until I heard the door open dash. Hey. Mr. Boskowitz, right. Jesus man, we were supposed to start 15 minutes ago. Get in here. What? No, sorry, I think you have the wrong dash. I don't care why you're late, just get in here, grab a plate of snacks and sit down, we're starting soon. Put your phone in the bag, electronic watch in the bag, and anything else on your person that can be used to record audio or video, he responded hastily. Something about his sternness and tone short-circuited my brain. For guys like me, there is a third option beyond fight or flight. It's called the just go with it until it's over, also known as the captured rabbit strategy. I put my phone and my watch in the bag. I meekly tried to butt in with another "Sir, I'm not Mr. Boskowitz," but he had already pulled me into the room at this point. He closed the door and walked to the front by the TV. I thought about making a break for it, but I decided to just see it through at this point, hoping deep down that whatever was happening was as inconsequential as my job was. Everyone had their snack plates and were heading to their seats. I awkwardly grabbed a muffin from the snack table, put it on a napkin, and took a seat in the very back row. Everyone was spaced out from each other. It didn't seem like any of these folks knew one another. I quietly sighed at the thought of having to sit through some sort of boring informational seminar or irrelevant training session. After a few minutes of everyone settling in, the man who originally brought me into the room started talking. There was an equally serious guy standing next to him, and a Secret Service-looking fella standing in the corner. Ha! I started wondering to myself why we were going to watch a video off of a very old-school-looking TV. Felt like we were all back in elementary school or something. Alright, I just need to do a final run-through before we get started, the man at the front said. I know you all read through the emails and signed your releases.
Well, that was one hell of a cliffhanger. I can't wait to hear the next part on Friday. There are 6 parts altogether, and this is part 2. If you haven't heard part 1, check out Monday's episode. It's at the end, and we're talking about this alleged 4-hour tape that these presidents have to watch, and it supposedly is what makes them age so dramatically during their presidency. I don't know, I haven't listened to any of them yet except for the first 2, and I'm excited to hear the rest of them. But I'm going to call it for today. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. Please come on back in a couple of days. We're going to watch some new stuff. I'll say different things, and it's going to be fantastic. Until then, have a wonderful day. Not quite the men who stare at goats era. For these next several clips, there was another story about Helios. There was another story that had Helios included in it, but it was like 6 minutes long, and it wasn't even a conspiracy or anything like that. And the thing was, it had. Now that is my type of story. I don't